Chapter 771. The Overdue Wedding Night. This chapter is updated by novels.pl. Creak. The door was unlocked, and with a gentle push, it opened. The room was filled with a faint fragrance. The door automatically closed when he entered the room, which didn't surprise him at all. He looked inside. There were 2 red candles in the shape of a dragon and a phoenix on the other side of the room, emitting a dim light. Inside the bedroom, everything was red carpet, red curtain, as well as a wide red bed. Zhang Yuochen suddenly had an illusion that he was at their wedding day and that what happened in the past year was just a dream. He and Huang Yanshen completed the whole wedding ceremony and were now celebrating their wedding night. Behind the curtain was a pool about 10 feet long, with white steam vapors flowing above and pink flowers on the surface of the water. Huang Yanshen was bathing in the pool. Her lower body was completely in the water and covered by the flowers. The skin on her naked upper body was silk white and glittering. Her dripping wet blue hair was loose on her shoulder. The candles illuminated her breathtaking curvy body. Water droplets kept rolling down her body, making it look even more beautiful. Huang Yanshen's thin and soft hands gently rubbed her neck and shoulders as she softly said, "I thought you wouldn't come tonight." Zhang Yuochen stood on the edge of the pool, looking at this heavenly, beautiful woman with mixed feelings of admiration, guilt, and primitive human desire. He said, "If I hadn't come tonight, would you hate me?" Splash! Huang Yanshen crossed her slim and silky arms to cover her naked chest. She slightly curled herself up and said, "No, I wouldn't." After thinking for a moment, she added, "Because, if you didn't come, I would know that you never loved me. I would call off the engagement so that you would be free to seek your true love." Zhang Yuochen said, "But I came, so is this our first date?" "Yes." A heartfelt smile appeared on her cold face. Her fingers slid in the water, and the corner of her lips curled up. "I still remember, when you first entered the Western campus. You peeked at me while I was bathing, just like tonight." Zhang Yuochen coughed. "That was senior sister apprentice Duanmu's prank. Otherwise, I wouldn't have accidentally entered the room. But tonight, I'm standing in front of you with righteousness. It can't be regarded as peeping, right?" Huang Yanshen bit her lips gently, apparently unconvinced. However, she managed to keep her voice as soft as possible to avoid ruining the atmosphere. She said, "I need to wear clothes. Can you turn around?" Zhang Yuochen did as she asked and closed his eyes. He heard a series of sounds, first the water, and then the footsteps, followed by the sound of her putting on clothes. After a while, he heard Huang Yanshen's voice again. "You can turn around now." When he turned, he saw Huang Yanshen in a red gown embroidered with a mandarin duck pattern, sitting on the edge of the bed. Her skirt, which was almost 3 meters long, was spread on the ground with feathers decorating the hem. A red bridal veil covered her face, hiding her beauty. The flame of 2 red candles placed on each side of the bed kept flickering, making the scene in front of him even more spectacular. Huang Yanshen said with a tremble in her voice, "I want to be your bride tonight." "What about you?" Faced with this, Zhang Yuochen held his breath and he felt his heart beat faster. He walked over, picked up the golden wedding steelyard on the bed and prepared to remove the red bridal veil. However, he suddenly stopped and asked, "Have you made your decision?" "I can't promise you a future, and I can't even give you a proper wedding." Huang Yanshen said, "I know." Zhang Yuochen nodded. Without further hesitation, he removed the red bridal veil and a heavenly, delicate face appeared in front of him. Huang Yanshen had meticulously done her makeup in advance, perfectly defined eyebrows, cherry red lips and faint flushes on her cheeks. Zhang Yuochen sat down, held her hand and stared at her face. "You're so beautiful tonight." They lay down on the bed. One slept on the right side, and the other slept on the left side. They stared idly at the ceiling. Huang Yanshen sucked on her lips before asking, "Zhang Yuochen, is this the correct thing to do at the wedding night?" "Sort of." Zhang Yuochen replied. "Oh." Huang Yanshen didn't ask further, but the light in her eyes suddenly dimmed. She felt a little disappointed and sad. Even though Huang Yanshen had never experienced a wedding night before, she knew that it was not supposed to be like this. She thought Zhang Yuochen treated her more like a sister apprentice rather than a lover. The light of the red candle kept dancing, making everything in the room look like they were hidden in shadows. At this moment, images of Kai Yao flashed through Zhang Yuochen's mind. He kept thinking about her smile and her face when she killed him. Zhang Yuochen's facial expression kept changing, varying from happy to distressed and then to struggling. Kai Yao, like a nightmare, was something he couldn't get rid of, especially during this wedding night. His feelings about her grew stronger. The blue veins all over his body became more visible and sweat formed beads on his forehead. He gripped Huang Yanzhen's hand tighter. Zhang Yuochen, what's wrong? After Huang Yanzhen saw Zhang Yuochen's face, she sat up immediately and leaned over to see him. She felt his body burning, and inside his body, a stream of hot flash kept running toward his head. Obviously, Zhang Yuochen was in a dangerous state now. He might lose control of the qi inside his body, and, if it was treated carelessly, he would lose his cultivation forever. Huang Yanjin didn't know what was happening. She immediately got up to find the master. Maybe the master knew how to save him. However, a big and strong hand grabbed her left shoulder the minute she got out of bed. Kai Yao, why do you want to kill me? Zhang Yuochen's eyes were bloodshot and his pupils turned red. With a sudden strong pull, he dragged Huang Yanchen back and pressed his body onto hers. Zhang Yuochen, you're scaring me, let me go. I need to find the master to help you. Huang Yanchen thought Zhang Yuochen must have an inner devil in his heart, but he had suppressed it at the bottom of his heart. However, for some reason, it was released tonight. Kai Yao? How could it be Kai Yao? If his inner devil was indeed Empress Kai Yao, he must have been under enormous pressure that was far beyond normal people's imagination. After mastering the seventh palm of the dragon and elephant prajna palm, the masculine chi within Zhang Yuochen's body was now 10 times stronger than any ordinary man's. He was able to control this masculine chi with his powerful cultivation and stay sane at the same time. However, tonight was different. As Huang Yanchen guessed, Kai Yao, like an inner devil, haunted Zhang Yuochen. Whether his feeling toward her was love or hatred, it was fierce. With the release of the inner devil, Zhang Yuochen completely lost his mind. As a result, the masculine chi, which was 10 times stronger, was out of control as well. It gathered at his head and lower abdomen. Hiss! Zhang Yuochen tore Huang Yanchen's red gown apart, uncovering a tender, silky white body. Her red wedding dress was in stark contrast with her silky, white skin. Zhang Yuochen, what are you doing? Stop it! Huang Yanchen panicked. She punched him but was afraid of hurting him, so she withdrew her palm power. As a result, her fists softly landed on Zhang Yuochen's chest and couldn't stop his violation. Zhang Yuochen couldn't think properly and was not able to tell whether the woman under him was Kai Yao or Huang Yanjin. He was driven by a primitive human desire. At first, Huang Yanjin struggled to push him away, but after a short while, she gave up. She bit her lips and wrapped her arms around his neck. Tears kept running down her cheeks. Because Huang Yanchen knew the bride in Zhang Yuochen's heart was probably not her. It was probably going to be a long and sleepless night for her. No one knew what was happening inside the room because of the arrays they had arranged. The next morning, Zhang Yuochen woke up, feeling exhausted. There was a warmth on his chest. He lowered his head to find that it was Huang Yanjin. Huang Yanjin quietly slept in his arms without any clothes on. Her arched eyebrows were slightly raised, making her look quite sexually attractive. What happened? Zhang Yuochen rubbed his temples, trying very hard to recall the previous night's events. However, he couldn't remember a thing and instead had a severe headache. When he saw the blood on Huang Yanjin's long slim legs, he suddenly realized what had happened. Zhang Yuochen closed his eyes and let out a long sigh. Master, someone wants to see you now. He introduced himself as Half-Cent Zixia. Han Zu's voice came from outside. Zhang Yuochen replied to her before putting on a robe. He got off the bed as quietly as he could so as not to wake Huang Yanjin. Huang Yanchen opened her eyes. She lazily lay on the bed as if she was as soft as the spring mud. Are you leaving now? Zhang Yuochen turned to look at her. He said with a smile, Half-Cent Zixia is here. I think it is because high-level supervisors of the Yin and Yang sect want to see me. After all, a lot of things happened during the Kunluna's banquet, and they probably want to ask about it. Have a good rest and please stop overthinking. Then, Zhang Yuochen left the room to meet Half-Cent Zixia.